Hey, alright, finally I'm on. Is this thing working? Everything okay over here? Just make sure. Yes, okay, excellent. The sound is working. Okay, so sorry about the delay, but we had some USB stick issues where it just wasn't formatted properly. We're basically using all of the operating systems. So I'm on Linux, James is on a Mac, and the Xbox is Windows or something. I don't know. It didn't take NTFS, so I don't know why. I'm not really sure what that was about. So anyway, that aside, I want to talk about an amazing thing that happened just this past weekend that, as far as I know, has never happened in a major before. And that is that in Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition version 2012, Dan got top 8 in a major. It was at Dreamhack. Dreamhack is one of the largest tournaments in the European scene. It's up in Sweden, and they have very top level players from all over the continent and from East Asia as well showed up. Sometimes North Americans will show up, although I don't think any did this time. But it's in any case a very high level tournament. And let me tell you what the top 8 was.
Which one do you want first? Just like
which one will I want first? Give me the Skatan, please. Popey got first, Infiltration got second. That was a really interesting match, actually. Cammy versus Ryu. Infiltration played Ryu. I'm not going to break that down today, although maybe we'll do that in the future. Ryan Hart got third place, just like a day after getting back from Los Angeles. I just saw him at E3 like 3 days ago, it feels like, 4 days ago. Edelman got fourth, Problem X fifth, F-Word also fifth, and then Immersion and Ixion got seventh. A bunch of those players have gotten, tops or won tournaments in Europe and in Asia and in North America before. So, really awesome stuff to see. Now, I'm a big fan of Dan. He's a character I've been playing since he came out. At first, it was just kind of for jokes because I thought he was fun and didn't think he was very good. But as the game has changed, and as I've come to understand a little bit more about the characters themselves, even aside from the changes, I think that Dan has become a pretty good character. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's a top-tier character. In fact, maybe even mid-tier might be stretching a little bit. Maybe he's low-mid or even low. But in this game, that doesn't mean that you're unable to compete. It just means that you have a few more bad matchups than some other characters, and Dan is no exception. He has some bad matchups, absolutely, but he has some good matchups too. He has a lot of good strengths. He has really strong damage in combos without meter. He can do good 350 and similar amount of stun, 500 stun or something like that, and kind of basic B&B combos that are also his hit confirms. He has a good throw game. He has the ability to play defensively if he needs to. He has some normals that help him out. He has a good dragon punch. He has a great backdash. Really, the only problem for Dan is that he has a worse mid-range game than most characters. That's not his strong point. Very strong up close, better than most on defense, but definitely pretty weak in the mid-range game. So if you're a Dan player who can overcome the fact that you don't have very good mid-range normals and basically depend on things like Fireball and EX Dan Kick and regular Dan Kick, then you can do really well with him. And this player, Ixion, is that kind of guy. He can play patiently, he can wait it out, and he uses Dan's tools in the mid-range in such a way that he kind of overcomes that negative side of the character. He has definitely some important good matchups, and one of them might have come into play here as far as the videos I'm going to show. If one of the players had played the character who he had been playing, that is Sakura, I think that he beats Sakura. I think he does well against characters like Abel and Rufus. I think he does well against Makoto. He has these important matchups that he does well in. But if you are a character who can control the mid-range very strongly, then you're controlling what Dan is bad at. You're forcing him into a location that he doesn't want to be in. And so if he's up against a character who does control the mid-range very well, then he's going to have a rough time of it. And actually, the two matches that I'm going to show today, that I'm going to talk about, are exactly that kind. They are Scott Miller plays Chun, and Chi-Nu plays Faye. Those are both definitely bad matchups for Dan. It's not just because of the mid-range control that those two characters have, it's because they have the ability to put themselves at a low profile, that is to say, duck under things, like Dan kicks, for example, that can be pretty frustrating for Dan to deal with. But I want to show them because Ixion wins one of them, and doesn't exactly get blown up in the other one. And here he is in the top 16 of a major tournament, top 16 winner's side. So I just think it'd be cool to highlight the fact that he does do well with this character. He does get far, and I think that if you look at high-level Dan play, you'll see that the character is not as weak as you might think. It's unfortunate, I think, that he's always gotten a rap for being bad. And I think it's kind of telling that, literally, as far as I know, the only high-level tournament player to use Dan is a guy who just got top 8 with him. He's not. There are not a ton of Dans in tournament play. Very, very few. I can only name a couple others. I can name a couple who play on YouTube and stuff like that, or play online, but not really in tournaments. So it's a pretty high success rate as far as Dan played by top-tier players. So what I'm going to do is show, as I said, Skatan Chun, who played against Ixion's Dan in the losers. When they're in losers, this is in top 12, so I guess it's to get into top 8. And after that, I'll show he wins that one, just to let you know. And I'll show Chi-Nu Faye after that, which is the top 16 match, which was in winners. That Chi-Nu is who sent Ixion to losers. And I want to show them in kind of reverse order, just because the first one has Dan winning, so you can see some of the good parts, the good parts of Ixion's Dan play. And then in the second one, you can see what some of the liabilities are of the character. I just think that would be a good order to do things. So
just as an FYI, you are going to be on screen because it makes the video use less processing power and stuff like that.
It'll use less processing power if I'm on screen?
Well, if I make the video smaller.
If it's smaller?
Yeah, because there's less changing.
You want to make it smaller without me in it?
No. Oh, do you want me to get rid of you?
Yeah, just you might as well.
Okay, no problem. Boom, there you go.
Okay, that's cool. You know what? Actually, let's take a break before we actually do this, just because I want to split it up like that. It hasn't been 10 or 15 minutes or whatever we normally do, but yeah, let's come back in just a second. See you soon. Okay, welcome back to Level 3 Focus. Like I said in the introduction, we're going to be going over Ixion Dan's top 16 play at Dreamhack 2013, just this past weekend. Dreamhack is always an interesting tournament because it's an esports style take on a video game tournament. It's traditionally very esports heavy. It has essentially all of the games that people play in esports style tournaments, in addition to fighting games. Well, I guess especially in addition to Street Fighter 4. So it's always kind of fun to see the production that they have, and how they deal with it. And lose my mind. Did you watch that thing yet? Oh, you got to see this, James. It's hilarious. Oh, you'll get it. You'll get it. In any case, Ixion is on the right there. Skatan Miller is on the left. Skatan came to Canada Cup a year and a half or two ago when I went there, and he and I talked a lot about Dan at the time because I was asking him whether he had played Ixion, and he had, and he said at the time he was playing Sakura, and he said he did not like that match. He didn't want to play Sakura versus Dan because he just thinks it's a bad one. Or at least he thought so at the time. Who knows what he thinks now? I haven't talked with him since then. But in this match, he goes with Chun-Li. And I thought at first maybe that's just because he didn't like the match. And I think Chun beats Dan. But somebody in the chat earlier said that actually he's been playing Chun for quite a bit now. And has mostly gone back to her. So I guess that's not really the case. But it was interesting to think about. I don't think that even if he was still playing Sakura, that he would go with Sakura here. Because he just doesn't, as I said, like the match very much. So. In this match, you want to look out for Chun-Li's mid-range control. That's really what it is. She has good normals to deal with Dan. Her pressure can be okay. She doesn't have very good defense aside from backdash, though. So those are what you're going to look out for. Does Ixion get in? How well does Ixion deal with the mid-range game? Yeah, that's mostly what this comes down to. So let's start this thing off here. Mr. James Chen, please. It's not true that Chun doesn't beat anybody. I think that she's on the lower end of the scale like Dan is, but definitely she beats some characters, that's for sure. Nobody in this game is bad. Ixion with that haircut is hilarious to me. I heard that he used to play Guile, and people were speculating that maybe that's why he has that hair and a camo on, but I like to think that it's because he has the Mr. Karate Dan ult that he likes to play, and he just is doing the little, whatever it's called, thing there. So Dan has these tools in the mid-range that are not that great, like I said. Essentially, they're Fireball, they're like crouching medium kick, they're stand roundhouse, stand medium kick are really about all he has there. He has Dan kick to help him get in, but people can react to that with lots of things. So you really have to frustrate your opponent into not wanting to press anything. There you go. Sweep. Great backdash, obvious reaction. One very strong tool that Dan does have in the mid-range, though, is that EX Dan kick. It's only -2, or at least usually is. Sometimes it's a little funky on the block stun, but only -2 for the most part. And that means that he gets a focus breaker that's 7-frame startup that, it does 150 damage and is -2 on block. So it's really good, but he has to use a bar for it. Is the problem. So you've seen him play pretty well, I think, in the mid-range game. To be up on Chun-Li in this kind of situation is pretty solid for him. He's got to watch out now because she gets to punish his... Ooh, that should have been Ultra. That should have been a lot of damage right there. That's lucky for him. But Super from Chun-Li gets to punish all of his Dan kicks, so he really can't use them when she has that. And you see him not wanting to jump. He knows that she has good reactions. There's that low profile that I talked about. She can get low under instant air Dan kick and light Dan kick. Those both are major problems for him. So okay, he gets Ultra 1 just because he got a little bit too overzealous with the fireballs. But I don't think that's too big of a deal. He's not going to do that every time. And he's been playing consistently enough, I think, in the mid-range that's not... If he can keep playing consistently in the mid-range and do good stuff up close, exactly like that, then he's an issue for Chun, I think. See him playing patiently still. Scotland trying to set things up and get the pressure. He does not want to get pressured by Dan. That's for sure. That can be a problem. Looking for counter hit. Like I said, counter hit and the counter hit confirm and also the combo starter are both the same button. Stand roundhouse is the best for both. So that's one nice thing that Dan has. Yay! Actual links! Not quite dead yet. But like I said, Dan has good damage if you can do his links. Trying to harass, he knows he doesn't need that much more. Yeah, she doesn't have Ultra 2, so not super damaging in that position. One thing that I like that Ixion does is that after the roundhouse Dan kick, sometimes he'll do crouching medium punch, but that's not really what it is. It's crouching medium punch, option select throw tech. So if you throw him in response, he gets the tech, and if not, he gets the crouching medium punch. This is the trick that Kens have been doing after blocked hurricane kicks, or I guess after any hurricane kick, since the game was pretty new. And Dan can do it too. Oh, chooses to not do full combo there. Could be a problem for him. And Dan's still caught here. Like I said, he has a good dragon punch. Oh, that needed to be a lot more. Kind of lets him go. Yeah, that's going to be that. So game 1 goes to Scott. Oh, wow. I forgot. That didn't work. Okay, there it is. Crouching Fierce. That's fine. So he plays patiently. Ixion does. Chun-Li managed to get the pressure on him. That's usually where Dan is not super threatened. But Ixion didn't really bring out Dragon Punch there much. Might be because these guys have played a lot and he knows what to expect from Scotland. There's always that to keep in mind. But hard to know. I do think it's cool to see that he plays so patiently as a Dan player. You just don't see that very often from most Dans. Most Dans want to be playing offensively. It's certainly what I want to do with him. Nice reaction with the grab. This is exactly where Dan wants to be now. He's got a lot of good setups. Yeah, he can either be in the front or in the back after that, depending on the timing. After that jump short in the corner. And he goes back to playing this mid-range game that has really managed to work out for him. Oh, could have done the EX after that. EX Dragon Punch. Oh, that should be it. And dang, Skatan gives it up. That could have been him at match point right now. We'll see if that comes back to bite him. I say, knowing very much what the result is. Very light pressure from Dan. He's got a funky style, man, Ixion. Definitely not the normal Dan style, I would say. Oh, I tried to do the Dan knee to catch her on the backdash, but her backdash is really solid. Couldn't get there. And he's done a great job, Skatan has, of abusing why I think Chun-Li, one of the main reasons why Chun-Li does well in this match is the low profile. Her crouching short is so tough for him to deal with. Crouching medium punch, crouching medium kick, all sorts of stuff ducks under a lot of what Dan wants to do to try to get in, and even do once he's in. Makes it kind of tough. See him playing patiently there, didn't want to take a risk. He knows that at this point a Dan kick should be free super. Oh, it wasn't! Free punish! And this time does it work? No. Man, Chun-Li is the best character. Poor character has some issues. She goes for chip, and now he's at match point. Skatan Milla, does he move on? In loser's bracket, this is to get into top 8 at one of the biggest majors in all of Europe. Ixion just waits. The lack of Dragon Punches, I think, have been really interesting from him. A lot of times you see Dragon Punches there. As a frame trap, he goes for it. Interesting. Stays in the front. There's that setup. Skatan knows it. And now he has cross-up or not. Oh, nice. And he can play kind of like a Sea Viper burn kick game in the corner there. Neutral jump or instant air burn kick when you think he's going to go for a grab or something like that. And nice. He read the setup. That Dan knee, the light kick Dan knee in the air has one of the better hitboxes in the game. It's really tough to challenge it. Very few people have normals that can challenge it. If you can duck under it, that's one thing, but I mean, it'll beat Dragon Punches. You know, it beats Sagat Dragon Punch, for example. So, game 2 going to Ixion. And focus backdash, using the fact that he has that great backdash. Such a useful thing for him. Frame traps a little bit there, and his opponent doesn't take the bite. Nice whiff punish on the sweep. Ugh, that's so good. Like I said, I think that's 7 frames, so it's a very fast move. Sets up the fireball pressure, but no quick rise. And now Ixion again is in the corner. Very few Dragon Punches. Very few panic wake-ups from this player. So solid. Just waiting things out. Oh, gotta punish this one. Okay, well, he could have done a little bit more, but that's better than nothing. Oh, the cross-up setup, he used it. Nobody knows about Dan's cross-up instant air light kick knee. Did you know that, people watching at home, that Dan's knee can cross up? Well, it can. And that's actually really useful in some matchups. It's hard to time in a lot of characters, just because it depends on certain size of hitboxes. But, for example, really easy on Abel and characters like that. But works on Chun-Li too, as you could just see. So now it's match point for Dan, for Ixion, to get into the top 8. And you can see that Skatan Milla knows that EX Dan kick is a threat, so he's not trying to rush in, trying to get his own super. And he's almost there. But still, Ixion playing mostly patiently. Again, not a punish. Nice blocking, and Ixion just backs off. Oh, this has got to be big. Please do something good. Nice. That's about as much as you can do against a Chun-Li in that situation. Some characters you get better links than that, but not against her. And now he's just really looking for something to hit. Anything at this point. EX Dan kick is even a pretty major threat. Yeah, look at that. Counter hit. Only one more is what he needs. a throw or essentially any hit in the combo at this point. So he's just playing patiently, as he has in his whole time. It's so rare to see a Dan caught in the corner like this, voluntarily even. It's not like he's been... Oh, got it. Nice. Scott Miller was looking for counter hit. It didn't come. And Ixion takes the set. Yeah, and makes it in the top 8 to the major. Oh, man. Amazing. But it's an unusual Dan style. At least from my perspective, I play a very different Dan. So it's cool to see somebody who is doing good things with the character, is going far, have a different style. Maybe he's the right one. Maybe I'm playing the character wrong. It's something that I have to think about now after having seen him do so well. But, you know, he didn't get involved that much in the mid-range game unless he had meter or unless he felt really comfortable pressing something like a stand roundhouse or a fireball. For the most part, he was very patient and almost looked like he was willing to let Chun come to him rather than to fight in the mid-range. When he had pressure opportunities, you know, some of them he took. He had some counter hit setups, he had some throws, but really it was about patience for Ixion, and using that patience, he gets into top 8. Really cool to see, just because it's strange. Lose my mind. Oh man, you got to see this video. It was pretty sick. After that matchup, just to let you know, Ixion played again in the top 8 when he was in losers, and he got bopped, as far as I've heard, by Infiltration. I haven't seen that because, as far as I know, that wasn't recorded. If it was recorded, I would love to know, but I haven't been able to find it online. But Akuma versus Dan is pretty tough for Dan, and Infiltration versus anybody is tough for whoever the anybody is, because he is just so good. Yeah, good job by Ixion to get top 8 there. But now let's take a focus on another match. Yeah, we will take a break, but just to set up what we're doing, we're going to look at Ixion's top 16 winner side match, the match that he lost to face off against Skatan Chun-Li. Chinu plays Faye. It's a tough match for Dan, but you know, we just saw him win what I think is a bad matchup for him. So we'll see what happened in that set that didn't go quite as well for him after this. Hey, welcome back to Level 3 Focus. My name is Ultra David, and we are going over how Ixion Dan did in the top 16 of Dreamhack 2013, the major in Sweden that just happened this past weekend. Hope you got a chance to see it, but I definitely recommend checking out the archives if you haven't. You can watch on YouTube all the matches that have been put up. They are at youtube.com/HAKF. Is the URL. Worst Geef ever streamed it and put it up on his YouTube channel. I definitely recommend subscribing to HAKF if you are interested in Street Fighter 4. It's a very useful YouTube channel. They have a lot of good European action on there. So let's head over to this video. Like I said, this is Chinu versus Ixion Dan. Europeans and European fashion. That is a deep V-neck, man. Look at that. Look at that. It's deep. And this guy with his haircut. Oh, my God. Europe. Sweden. The best. I went to Sweden once, in Stockholm, and you know how they say that everybody's beautiful there? Fact. It was ridiculous. Like, and not even, like, just the, like, ethnic Swedes whose family have been there forever. It was, like, must have been, like, some immigration requirement that you be beautiful. It was insane, but anyway. So this match is another match where Dan has to fight off against somebody who has very strong mid-range control and the ability to make himself low, have a low profile. Faye, when he is crouching normally, does not have a low profile at all. In fact, he's pretty tall, but he has, you know, crouching medium kick and even crouching short, and even in fact some cases crouching strong can get under stuff. So it can be tough for Dan. But we saw that Ixion could deal with that before. Oh, did you say anti-air fireball? Yeah. That was pretty sick, right? I like that. one thing that people often do against Dan is neutral jump, for much the same reason that people neutral jump against Faye. You don't want to take Dan kicks. You'd rather not get involved in that if you can. So people not like to neutral jump and hit him out of the air, but as you can see, he has a couple options to deal with that. Far range fireball, in-snare, jump, light kick, Dan kick, that kind of stuff. Dragon punch if you're closer in. So at this point, with the life lead, Ixion was pretty much hanging out. Oh man, chooses not to go for ultra, and then doesn't do the safe jump timing. That could have been bad news. Actually, it still can be. 17 seconds left. Could be bad look for him. Goes for the full Rekka series into the corner, and Ixion just trying to run out the clock. You can see it. Oh, EX. That should be it. Oh, not stunned yet? Wow. Okay, but just runs into jump roundhouse, which is one of the bigger hitbox moves in the game. But yeah, his use of normals like far roundhouse is really impressive, I think, because you just don't see that very often. It does have a sick hitbox on it, but the frame data for it is not great. It's kind of slow. It's not very active. Dragon punch for return, and just a little bit outspaced there, unfortunately for Ixion. It's not very safe on whiff. It's pretty fast recovery, but you see it coming from so far that a lot of people can react. So again, we see this kind of style where Ixion is playing as patiently as can be. He has had a couple of whiffed EX Dan kicks. Haven't really cost him that much, but potential problems for him. Ooh, not punished. There's that jump roundhouse that I was talking about, and a dragon punch that we didn't see very often. And again, from Ixion. Wow, he's going to lose the game for this. Yeah, check that out. Maybe that's why we didn't see him dragon punch too often against Skatan. Maybe it was just because he's played against Skatan. I don't know, but keep in mind that match happened after this one. Chinu seems to like it. Okay. You're nodding your head. He's got a nice chest. Yeah. Oh, went for the full thing. Dan can actually Dragon Punch out of that. Dragon Punch punishes the second one, and if he does the third one, he just gets hit anyway. And Dan has one of the better Dragon Punches in the game, like I've said, so it's a little bit better than most. Oh, please punish well. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, get some stun in there. Dan, the pressure. You can see Dan can do a little bit of work himself once he gets in close, gets a couple chances. It's just unfortunate that in the two matches that we've seen Ixion play, he doesn't really get those options very often. Faye with such good defense. It's not just the low profiles, it's the good Dragon Punch. It's just got a lot of options at almost everywhere on screen. Nice reaction. Oh, Ixion's taking some risks. He's getting crazy. And you can see Chinu actually back off there after the jab, looking for a reversal Dragon Punch. Didn't come this time, though. So maybe settling down here for Ixion. I don't know if he's going to get a chance. This might be perfect. Yes. So match point for Chinu. It's like an ellipsis neck. It's like not even a V-neck. Or a U-neck, as I believe they're called. Yes. This time, no reaction Dragon Punch. And there's that crouching strong option select tech that I've been talking about for Ixion. Oh, he kicks the wing. Very important. Neutral jump roundhouse. And he's just kind of waiting patiently. He knows his character. This is not where his character wants to be. So rather than overcommitting with buttons that, are just not that great in comparison to Faye's Crouching Fierce and Crouching Strong and Rekka and etc., he's more kind of waiting things out, hoping that he gets the occasional thing like EX. Oh, that anti-air stand roundhouse. That's really impressive. Goes for the setup, but it wasn't properly timed. And I don't know why that hit him. And now Faye just still pressuring Dan, jumped back out to get a little bit more space, and another whiff. He's whiffed that a lot. That's been a lot of unfortunate wasted EX for him. Oh, please, yes. And just EX out of there. Nicely done. EX, he can threaten to take this right now. We've seen him here before. He did well against Skatan in this very situation where he had the life lead, he was in the corner, and he waited it out. Oh, man. That could do it. Is that going to kill? Not quite. One more. Oh, Ixion tried to dash up and get something. Look at the time. Oh, he got a little nuts. Yeah, and then the counter hit. That was Not actually a punish, just the counter hit on whatever Ixion was trying to do afterward. So good job to Chun-Li for taking it. But you could see that I think Ixion didn't quite play as well as he had against, or actually as he later did against Skatan, in that he was missing the range on EX Dan kick sometimes. He was playing a little bit more recklessly with the dragon punches. He didn't quite have the same defense that he had against Skatan. And, he did have a lot of good stuff in the mid-range, though. And I certainly think that Faye is the worse matchup for Dan than Chun is. Not only does he have some of the best mid-range control in the game, but also very strong defense and great offense, too. So at all ranges, he's a threat. So a little tougher for Ixion to deal with, but I also think that he didn't play it quite as well. If he had, maybe it would have gone differently. But I think just from watching these two sets that you can see that Dan has good tools, clearly, right? He has definitely some stun output, definitely damage output when he gets a chance. If he wants to play it defensively and patiently, he can do it. That's why he won to get into top 8. Somebody asked me on Twitter whether I think that Dan has any good matchups, and in fact I do. Just running down the list of characters, I think that he does well against Abel and against Cody and against probably even against Dalsum. I think he beats Fuerte. I think that he beats Hakan. He beats Makoto. He blows up Makoto. That's like one of Makoto's worst matchups in my opinion. I think he beats Rufus. I think he beats Sakura. And I guess that's about it. He goes about even with Seth. So he has some good matchups. He has some even matchups. He loses matchups more than he wins them. That's for sure. He's not some high tier character. He does have some problems, but I think it's telling that, like I said before, that if you count up the number of high level tournament Dans and the number of placings that Dan has had, there's one, and he's placed in top 8 already. He's done well at tournaments before. He's almost got top 8s before. He's gotten top 8s at not quite as big majors as well. And in fact, I believe at Dreamhack last year he did really well in a team tournament, if I recall correctly, or at least in some tournament I saw him do really well in a team tournament. So he's a threat. He's not a bad character. I really wish that people played him more. It's just unfortunately he is named Dan and people associate that with jokes. But I do think that he has the ability to do it. I've always tried to get some people in particular to play Dan. Really tried to get Combo Fiend to play Dan. I feel like Dan is Combo Fiend's character. Combo Fiend makes characters that don't have the greatest footsies have good footsies. That's just what he does in general. He takes unorthodox characters and he plays them super well in the mid-range game. And his mix-ups up close are among the best in any fighting game, of any fighting game player. So I really think that would be the character for him, but he's always refused, just on principle. Try it out. So, do I think that he's the worst in the game? No. No, I do not think that he's the worst in the game. I personally think that T-Hawk is probably the worst in the game, but I would probably have DJ below him too, and probably Dudley too. Maybe more. I guess that's it.
I'll just answer random questions.
Maybe I'll answer random questions. Yeah, I don't know.
Got like 8 minutes or something like that.
Oh yeah, I got a little bit more time. Yeah. That's cool. Well, if you want to know anything about Dan or anything, I guess, just let me know.
Being bad is not true at all.
I don't think Guy is bad anymore. Yeah, I remember. Not after Marcus. Yeah, Marcus plays him better than I thought a Guy could be played. So I still don't think that Guy is high tier or anything, but is he low tier? No, he's a low mid tier kind of character. Did I lift today? No, I didn't.
You always just look this good, right?
I ate ramen and pizza and sushi today, so no. What do I think about the Claw versus Dan matchup? I think Claw probably beats Dan. It's just, again, because of that mid-range control. The thing is that if Dan gets in close, he blows up Claw better than most characters do. Claw just doesn't really have what he needs to get out of those situations. He doesn't have consistent low-profile stuff. Things like crouching medium kick are not as great as other characters are. So I think he has real trouble once Dan gets in on him. But he can play a really good defensive mid-range game. So let's see, what are Dan's up-close mix-ups? It's basically throw or counter hit. He has cross-ups too. The counter hits will lead to, like I said, 300 to 400 if you don't have meter. I don't know, 300 to 400 if you do or don't or do have meter, and up to about 700 stun. The throws, back throw leads into unblockables against some characters, that kind of stuff. So I almost never play Ultra 2 with Dan. I play Ultra 1 for the most part because I look for stand strong, counter hit into Ultra 1. I really like that. And it blows through fireballs and stuff, so. I don't know. I guess that's about it, yeah?
Okay. We can stop early.
Yeah, let's quit it. It's already pretty late.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, what's the Dan versus Viper matchup from Twitter? It's Viper probably wins it. It's not a terrible matchup for Dan. He has some good low profile stuff to get under things. He has great air to air. His Dan knee in the air will actually beat burn kicks, so that's something that most characters don't have. He has good defense and he has good pressure, and neither character is great in the mid range. So it's it's kind of even. It's just that her damage and stun output is higher than his. So when she gets a chance, she blows him up a little bit more than he blows her up. Is the major thing. All right. Okay. All right. Well, come back tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time because James and I will do whatever we do on the Tuesday show. We'll have to figure it out, I guess. Yeah, and we'll post up about that on Twitter. And by the way, I am now again editing and uploading stuff to YouTube. So check out our YouTube channel because it's not.
New get up yet, or?
Yeah, maybe it's been uploading from my home
okay.
for a while. I have super slow internet back home, so we'll see whether it's up yet. Hopefully it is. If not, look for that soon. All right. See you tomorrow.